Hey, I'm Virginia Bradley, and I would like to share the life and artworks of artist Frida Kahlo. The only way to understand Frida's artwork is to look at her life story. When looking into Frida's life, you will see that she never got a break. She was a fighter, not a quitter. Frida's own quote tells it all. My paintings carries with it the message of pain. Frida Kahlo was born on July 6, 1907, in a small town on the outskirts of Mexico City. Frida's father, William, was a German. Frida's mother, Matilda, was Spanish. Throughout most of her life, however, Frida remained close to her father. Also, Frida had two older sisters, Matilda and Adriana, and her younger sister, Christina. Frida was the third child. Around the age of 6, Frida contracted polio, which caused her to be bedridden for 9 months. She did recover from the illness, but limped when she walked because the disease had damaged her right leg and foot. Her father encouraged her to play soccer, go swimming, and even wrestle to help aid in her recovery. Throughout her life, Frida wore skirts to disguise her leg deformities. In 1922, Frida enrolled at the National Preparatory School. She was one of the few female students to attend the school when she became known for her love of tradition. She planned to study medicine, botany, and social science. Frida often watched as Rivera created a mural called The Creation in the school's lecture hall. It was claimed that Frida told a friend that she would someday have Rivera as his baby. While at school, Frida became romantically involved with Alejandro Arez. On September 17, 1925, Frida and Arez were traveling together on a bus when the vehicle collided with a streetcar. As a result of the collision, Frida was impaled by a street handrail which went through her hip and came out the other side. She suffered from fractures in her spine and pelvis. Bus accident that took over a year, Frida gave up her pre-med program and began painting. Her mother had a special easel made for her so she could paint the bed, and her father lent his box of oil paints and some brushes. Her self-portraits became a dominant part of her life. When she was immobile for 3 months after her accident, Frida once said, "I paint myself because I am often alone and I am the subject I know best." At 29, Frida married Rivera, despite the disapproval of her mother. Both Frida and Rivera had bad temperaments and numerous affairs. Openly bisexual, Frida had affairs with men and women. For her part, Frida became furious when she learned that Rivera had an affair with her younger sister Christina. The couple eventually divorced but remarried in 1940. Their second marriage was as bad as their first. During Frida's lifetime, she had 3 miscarriages. The miscarriages were due to the near-fatal accident with the streetcar. In 1930, Frida's first pregnancy is terminated at the start of the pregnancy. 2 years later, her second pregnancy ends July with a miscarriage. Her third pregnancy is again terminated at 3 months. Frida struggled with the miscarriage because she really wanted to have Rivera as his baby. Frida died on July 1954. It was reported to be caused by a blockage in her lungs, but there have also been stories about a possible suicide or overdose. An autopsy was never performed on Frida. She had been very ill throughout the previous year, and her right leg had been amputated at the knee because of gangrene. She had also caught pneumonia during the removal of her knee. Frida's life involved romance, family, and success and tragedy. From starting at age 6 with polio, the rest of her life had been a mess because of the accident. But out of all of this, Frida painted, and is what now makes her famous. Of her 143 paintings, 55 are self-portraits, which often sampled physical and psychological wounds. In 1929, Frida painted the bust. This painting clearly shows Rivera's influence on Frida's political attitudes. In the painting, if two people are sitting side by side on a wooden bench, every person has a different life than the other. The painting is also an illustration of the bus accident that happened in 1925 and changed Frida's life forever. The young girl beside the businessman might be Frida herself. In 1932, Frida painted Henry Ford Hospital. In this painting, Frida painted herself in Henry Ford Hospital, laying on the bed, naked with the blood and hemorrhage. She also had a large tear falling from her left eye. This is a reflection of what Frida felt when she was having a miscarriage. In a circle around the bed, there are 6 floating images relating to the miscarriage. In 1932, Frida painted My Birth. She claimed this painting is about how she imagined she was born. In her journal, Frida said this painting illustrates that she was giving birth to herself. The sheets cover her mother's face, which might be from the recent event of the death of Frida's mother. The puddle of blood might be a hint of Frida's own experience with a recent miscarriage. In 1936, Frida painted My Grandparents, My Parents, and Me. Frida's the naked little girl holding the loop of red ribbon that is the figure of her bloodline. The fetus is an X-ray vision of Frida before she was born. Frida positioned herself right in front of her dad. It was with her father she was mostly identified as a little kid. Frida's grandparents are shown as Mexican or German by their position over the dry earth and over the ocean. In 1937, Frida Kahlo painted My Nurse and I. The painting shows Frida being nursed by her native Indian wet nurse. Her own mother could not breastfeed her since her younger sister Christina was only 11 months younger than her. There was no embracing between Frida and the nurse. The painting has the implication for Frida's feelings of loss and separation from her own mom. This painting documents one major event of her life. In 1939, Frida Kahlo painted The Two Fridas. This painting was completed shortly after her divorce with Diego Rivera. She is admitted to express her desperation and loneliness. With the separation from Diego, the two Fridas both have visible hearts, and the heart of the traditional Frida is cut and torn open. The main artery had been cut, and she is in danger of bleeding to death. In 1943, Frida painted Thinking About Death. The later years of Frida's life, she was tortured by numerous illnesses and complications. The self-portrait represents Frida's health during the period she had to be bedridden. Death is symbolized as a skull and crossbones, which show up in her forehead. She puts herself against the background with green leaves, which is a symbol of life. Frida understood that death is a path to another form of life. In 1944, Frida painted The Broken Column. Frida expressed her suffering in a most straightforward way. The nails are stuck throughout her whole body. Her lower body is covered with what looks like a hospital sheet. Her broken column appears to be on the verge of collapsing into rubble. She has tears on her face, but she looks straight ahead and is challenging both herself and audience to face her situation. In 1946, Frida painted The Wounded Deer. Also within this year, Frida had an operation on her spine, hoping to free her from pain, but it failed. The background is the forest with dead trees and broken branches, which implies a feeling of fear. Frida used a young deer with the head of herself and was fatally wounded by a bunch of arrows. This painting expressed her disappointment towards the operation. Since her death, Frida's fame as an artist has only grown. In 1983, Hayden Harris wrote a book called A Bibliography of Frida Kahlo, which helped stir up interest in this great artist. The movie Frida was released in 1983 and was a huge success. In 2002, another bibliography film, Frida, was released and won 2 academic awards. Frida's life and artworks have impacted so many lives in the 21st century.